Hello Niles and welcome. I'm your host, Charles Nelson, and for the next half hour, we're diving deep into the heart of Niles, Michigan, where small town charm meets big time spirit. From our beautiful parks and local events to the hidden gems that make our city unique, we'll explore what makes Niles the place to be. So sit back and let's celebrate everything Niles has to offer. You're listening to Hello Niles on WNIL Radio, where community comes alive. Need a spot to kickstart your morning or wind down after a long day? Then come check out Second and Main Coffee House and Wine Bar in downtown Niles, serving up handcrafted coffee, fresh pastries, and a great wine selection for when you're ready to relax. Whether you're working remote, meeting friends, or just need a little me time, you'll love our cozy vibe and friendly faces. Second and Main, where good coffee, good wine, and good company come together. Hello and welcome back as we move on to part 3 of our discussion with Cecil Wilson from the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi. On our last episode, we heard about the ancestral lands in the St. Joseph River Valley that the Potawatomi had settled up through into the 1700s, and we also touched on some of the skirmishes and wars through the 1700s. If you'd like to hear the first 2 segments of our discussion, you can find Hello Niles on YouTube or on Spotify. And now, let's continue our talk with Cecil Wilson.
You had mentioned earlier about not really being known as the Pokagon Band until these treaties started being signed. Can you go into that a little bit? The cultural shift maybe that the people here had to go through, and then that name change or that name that was put on you, and then perseverance, I guess.
Yeah. So the treaties, like you said, were bad for us. They generally were more beneficial for the United States, almost fully, none of them truly been upheld to the level they should have been. They were very significant to us. Like you said, we were not considered the Pokagon Band up until the 1830s or so, maybe late 1820s. Up until that point, we were mostly referred to as just Potawatomi. So you see, our first treaty we signed is in 1795. It's following a battle in Ohio called the Battle of Fallen Timbers. It's the 1795 Treaty of Greenville. We are signed underneath the Potawatomi people. I believe it is Topnaby, who is one of our significant leaders, also known as Dokmabe in our language, or he who sits quietly. As well as other significant Potawatomi leaders. We see the names we saw in there. Shabazz, who was Topnaby's brother, he becomes very significant in the early 1800s. You get some Miami leaders like Little Turtle, Five Metals, stuff like that. So a lot of big names. But at this point, we're still known as the Potawatomi, or just as the Potawatomi people. So when it comes time to split us into individual groups, that actually happens more towards the 1820s when you start seeing people come in and, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're trying to dictate the value of the land that are in these areas. Because one of our other significant treaties, the 1821 Treaty of Chicago, that one treated away what would become almost all of Cass County. So that was a very significant one for us, a lot of northern Indiana, areas like that. And we're still falling under the Potawatomi. But when they come in to survey the lands that have been treated, that's when you start seeing surveyors actually marking out where different bands are. So you see Pokagon's band, and he marks down how many warriors, women, citizens live there, civilians live there.
So it's like a census.
Kind of, yeah. You could consider them early censuses. Yeah. And then when we get, and as well as in a lot of these treaties, we think that, like, we give away, we don't give away Cass County. We are forced to give away Cass County. And in return, we're looking to get some material supplies like livestock, blacksmiths, schools, money, clothing, things that we need to survive that were promised to us that, again, not all of these things have been given to us even in the modern day. Sorry. But we were promised all these. And you see, when you look at a map, that it's this massive chunk of like Cass County, Berrien County, all these areas. And then you'll just see little speckled dots in there where they're like, well, here's where a Pokagon's band can reside.
Okay.
They get it's a precursor to like reservations and everything, in that you're giving away all the land around you, but you guys get to keep your little area. Now, just don't bother the white settlers moving into the rest of the areas, which we do see become issues, specifically. The Nottawassippi Huron band, we see some Huron leaders that get moved out west, removed out west in the late 1830s because the white settlers moving in, or European settlers, not just white settlers, European settlers are moving in, and they start to make false allegations that the natives are hunting their own livestock, they're taking the animals that they hunted, they're harassing the citizens, things like that, all in an attempt to push them further out, take the land that was left for them there. So a lot of things like that. So these small reservations you see pop up in the treaties, and then once we get into the 1830s, for us, our next significant treaty was the 1833 Treaty of Chicago. And in that one, that's when you start to see they actually start to break down, like Pokagon's band. That's the treaty we got to, specifically for us, it's the one that allowed us to not be removed out west, to not be removed west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
So for us, that's where they differentiate. Pokagon's band does this, yada, yada, yada. It's written into the treaty itself. We aren't exempt from removal. So despite living in Niles, Michigan, and we still are here now in this whole region, we were told that we had to move up north to the Odawa. By the time we went up there's no land for us. They treated it away because these treaties take time to actually put into law. So we get up there's nothing up there, and then Leopold Pokagon, so Pokagon's band, he purchases land in Silver Creek, Michigan, and that's where our first significant land holding was, according to the American government, because we owned that. We had actually paid for it. We had to pay taxes on it, yada, yada,
But the fact that through all of that, Leopold Pokagon and the tribe is able to buy land. That's really interesting. Do you have any insight into how that happened or how that works? Did they have a bank account? Did they just have or did they sell things enough to say, did they have the foresight to say, we're going to have to do this and buy this land?
Yeah. So in our opinion, Leopold Pokagon most likely had the foresight to do it. A lot of the money that he used to purchase this land came from annuity payments, which were the pittance of money we were getting from these treaties. Because when they would treaty off, they'd say, in the language of the treaties, it might say you'll get $1,500 annually for the next 20 years and stuff like that. So in our beliefs, he had squirreled that away, saved it up, because he had the foresight to know that things weren't looking the greatest. There were a lot of issues we'd had negotiating with the government. So by the time we were removed, we were told to go up north. We had no land for us. We come back down here and buy it. We were able to purchase it through the help of locals.
Yeah. So
one of the reasons we were able to avoid removal, the big one everyone always thinks of is that we are tied to the Catholic Church a lot. Hence Notre Dame has a history with our people. The founding of Notre Dame has a history of it. The Baptist mission just outside of town here, heading towards Buchanan, I believe it is.
Mission?
The Cary mission.
Yeah.
That was the precursor to us getting a Catholic mission. Very much not wanted.
Right.
Very bad things happened with that one, so we were happier to get the Catholic one. Everyone thinks that, but it was also that we were really good at using modern agricultural techniques, as well as we were just considered really good neighbors to people. We got along really well. For one, when I say good neighbors, I don't mean that Bob next door is waving to you every morning as you come out, you're mowing the lawn, he's helping you out, or anything like that. I mean that the settlers coming into the area, the Americans at this point in time, 1830s, they liked that we brought schools, that we brought blacksmiths, we brought traders into the region. We are located, Niles, Michigan's a very hot spot. It's located right on the, pretty much on the confluence of the Michigan Road and the Chicago to Detroit, or Detroit to Chicago Road, or the Sauk Trails, we called it way back in the day. I'm sure we might have had another name for it before it was even called that. But so we brought a lot of resources to this region, a lot of interest. So when we moved away, and we were willing to come back, we had people relationships around here. We had the Bertrand family, just a lot of merchant families that we were tied to that were willing to step up for us and willing to help negotiate purchasing land or working through legal contracts with us. We see that again in the 1840s, after Leopold Pokagon passes away, there's a claim from the Catholic Church that all the land that he owned actually belongs to them, or at least a big chunk of it. And this was actually in the Niles Republican, whatever the very old newspaper was here in town, where they talk about this court case happening between the Catholic Church of Vincennes, or the Diocese of Vincennes down in Indiana, against Kittis, or Elizabeth Pokagon, Leopold's wife, as well as Peter Pokagon, their oldest son. And we are able to use legal records and the help of people around here that we worked with to help fight off this. We see a removal attempt happen to our people in 1840 again. A lot of things that Leopold, it's pretty much, we have another removal attempt, Leopold Pokagon dies, and then the church tries to take all our land from us. So all within like 2 or 3 years there. It's a very hectic time. But when the second removal effort comes through, and this is the removal that, like I mentioned, sees the Nottawassippi, some of their leaders get removed out west. When this removal effort happens, we actually go to Detroit and we negotiate through the use of our own lawyer, like the people we use as lawyers, as well as the treaties themselves. The 1833 Treaty of Chicago, we talked to a Supreme Court of Michigan member, Judge Epaphroditus Ransom.
That's an
very significant to Kalamazoo, Michigan history as well. But he actually writes a personal note to the government to help absolve us from being removed, because they were fully intent on just removing us. And again, this is even after the land we're on is our land. We own it. Per what the state and the federal government wants, we own that land specifically, and they're still trying to move us away from it and take it.
Wow.
So like it was a lot of constant legal battles throughout. I mean, 1830s beyond. Yeah. Even up until the 1940s, 1980s, 1990s, we were still fighting legal battles on a lot of fronts.
And that is where we'll pause our discussion for this month. Join us next month for our next installment in our conversation with Cecil Wilson on the history of the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi, as we follow the history of the Potawatomi into the 20th century. And if you'd like to learn more about the Pokagon Band, you can visit pokagonband-nsn.gov or follow them at Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians on Facebook. On Saturday, April 26th, downtown Niles was buzzing with excitement as the community gathered to celebrate the grand opening of the Node, or the Niles Outdoor Downtown Experience. This new outdoor space, located at the corner of 2nd and Main Streets, is designed for exactly what its name suggests, a place for people to gather, relax, and experience everything downtown Niles has to offer. The day kicked off at 10 a.m. with a movement and mimosas led by Jessica Nelson and sponsored by the Niles Brewing Company. Throughout the day, attendees enjoyed a variety of activities, including ceramic mug painting hosted by Be Crafty and a demonstration of innovative rehabilitation technology by Sport Track Physical Therapy. The day also featured live music from Anya Tabor, Hank Nelson, Shreddy Tendergrass, Mark Sucks, Hey Annie, and headliner Abby Thomas and the Crazy Hearts. What started during the pandemic as a creative way to support outdoor dining has now evolved into a permanent, thoughtfully designed public space. The Node features things like a cozy fireplace, string lighting, plenty of seating, and a built-in stage, making it perfect for future performances and events. The Node also sits within the city's social district, meaning visitors can enjoy beverages from participating local establishments while taking in the atmosphere. Whether you're stopping by for lunch, bringing your laptop to work outdoors, or joining in for a special event, the Node adds a new heartbeat to downtown Niles. For more updates on events happening at the Node, visit uncoverniles.com or follow Niles Main Street on Facebook and Instagram. Usually in this space, I'll have a conversation with one of the many amazing local nonprofits in the area, but I wanted to take this time to relay a little story about one of my experiences in one of our shops in downtown Niles. A couple Saturdays ago, my son and I stopped into Casperson's Books, which is located on the corner of Broadway and 3rd Street in downtown Niles. It's one of our favorite shops to go into. If you love old books or old postcards, that's the place for you. But anyway, I saw in one of their display cases they had some old postcards and photographs of baseball teams. And being a big baseball fan myself, a lifelong Chicago Cubs fan, I took a look at the cards to see what they were all about. And the card said that the team photographed was the Niles Blues. And I had never heard of the Niles Blues before. So I pulled out my phone, did a little research, and I found on Wikipedia that the Niles Blues were a minor league baseball team based in Niles, Michigan. In 1910, the Blues played their only season as a charter member of the short-lived Class D level Indiana-Michigan League, hosting games at LaPierre Park. So I thought that was really cool to learn a little bit of local history from one of my favorite shops I'd like to stop into. And so I bought the pictures and the postcards, and I came home and I started doing a little research. And I found quite a few articles in the Niles Daily Star from 1910 that highlighted some of the action that the Blues participated in while a part of the Indiana-Michigan League for that single shortened 1910 season. Now, some of the other teams in the league were the Berrien Springs Grays, Dowagiac had a team, the Elkhart Blue Sox, the Gary Sandfleas, which is just an incredible name for a baseball team, and Ligonier, Indiana even had a team. The Niles Blues finished the season 8-10. They didn't play a full season. It was a shortened season because some of the other teams just couldn't financially finish the season out, so they cut the season short. The league overall was won by Berrien Springs, who finished with a record of 15-4, with a couple of those losses coming at the hands of the Niles Blues. The Niles Blues were owned by Fred Marshall. He was the owner and the manager. The ballpark was reported to have been located near the railroad tracks on Wayne Street between 7th Street and 8th Street. So Fred Marshall, who was nicknamed Bunny for reasons I haven't been able to ascertain, seemed to be quite the character. There were hints that he was maybe associated with the mob loosely in Chicago. And during one game, Marshall hired Major League Baseball pitcher Guy Morton to pitch a game in Niles. And allegedly he had Guy sit in the stands before the game started. Niles comes out and says, "We don't have a pitcher." Guy comes from the stands, pitches the game, and the Blues win the game. And of course they were called the Niles Blues because of the navy blue uniforms that they wore. And now I'd like to share with you one of the excerpts I found from the June 6th, 1910 edition of the Niles Daily Star. Written by sports writer W.L. Babbitt. Headline: Niles takes second heat from Berrien Springs in 13 innings. Score 4-2. Over 300 fans from Niles attend greatest game played in league this season. And into the land of Berrien Springs rode the 300 rooters with the Blues in the lead on Murdoch's Special under the command of Bunny Marshall. Onward they marched to the park where Nilesites held the majority of the population of the grandstand and bleachers and witnessed the greatest game of the season. Old ladies and old maids, mothers with babes in their arms, and gray-haired men kept in regular step with the tramp of the motley throng. No one would have thought that the elderly fans had so much vitality. Talk about the Rooters Club of Berrien, they were lost among the so many fans from Niles. The banner game of the season was executed yesterday in 13 rounds, which from the 6th, when Niles secured 2 runs tying up the score, grew more flourished with enthusiasm for the anxious fans until the smoldering chances for honors burst into a mighty flame in the first of the last round, the locals scoring the victory with 2 well-earned runs, score 4-2. The excellent support of the out and infield was the victorious feature. Cochler on short escaped with 1 error, while Fillinger on third made but 2. These men were played more than any others on the team, their assists running into a large number. The outfield worked without a hitch, and the one-handed catch of what was almost a hit by Mouse was a grandstand play in reality. Withers opened the ninth round by bouncing a fly to left field. Billinger grounded safe. Allen flew out, and Johnson took 3 healthy swings at Mr. Ball. Wentz grounded out, Stilson flew out, McMahon hit, and Snyder flew out. The last 4 rounds went fast until the trick was turned into the locals' favor. It was at this time that Withers and his good support held the Springers' nose to the grindstone. So I think it's just fun to stop every once in a while and reflect on our history, and even learn new things that we may not have known about this city. So the next time maybe that you're walking around town, whether you're over by Wayne Street off of 7th and 8th, or even downtown, maybe just imagine the crack of a bat echoing through some ballpark and a crowd cheering on their hometown heroes, the Niles Blues. This month's business sponsor spotlight focuses on 2nd and Main Coffee House and Wine Bar in downtown Niles. And we have Jessica Nelson stepping in to do the interview honors with co-owner of 2nd and Main, Dustin Jankowiak. So let's take a listen on what they had to say.
Hello and welcome back. Today we are joined by this month's business spotlight sponsor, which is 2nd and Main Coffee Shop. Welcome, Dustin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Tell me a little bit about 2nd and Main. It's not just a coffee shop.
No, so we wanted to create a community gathering place that happens to serve coffee. That looks different than being a coffee shop that happens to give community. And, you know, both my partner Alicia and I, when we jumped into this, we knew nothing about coffee. I came from the finance world, and she had a little smoothie shop. You know, I tended to be the person that would, in finance, hey, here's your laptop, go get the business. And I would end up finding myself at coffee shops. And it wasn't because, like, don't get me wrong, I love coffee. Yeah. I need more so for the caffeine than anything. But I enjoyed being around people without having to be around people, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
I get to see people from all different backgrounds, all different ages, all different belief systems, reading, working, educating themselves, laughing, or whatever they want to do, and feel those energies that you get from that without necessarily having to be. So it made it feel like I was a part of that. And that's what we created. But because of that, you mentioned what's different about us, or what makes us more than just a coffee shop. We have our liquor license, and we are a bar in the evenings, and we cold press juice and have the smoothies and the acai bowls, and we're getting ready to launch paninis, a good variety of them. Different things that cater to every person. We have vegan options and vegetarian options and gluten-free options, because I'm gluten-free. My wife's dairy-free. So we wanted there to be something for everyone, which makes us a lot more than just a coffee shop.
And I will kind of piggyback off of that and validate, as I've been sober for a couple years, and I remember when you first opened the bar side of things, you had non-alcoholic beverages as part of the standard menu, not something that you had to shamefully ask, hey, is it okay? Can I get one with that's NA? Right. And they're with ingredients that are mindful and healthy. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, so that was actually, shout out to Paul and Courtney Clemson. Paul and Courtney actually had connections with Curious Elixirs. They connected me with the marketing person, and these guys were like, yep, we want to partner with you. And it happened to be, you know, this product, which they've continued to expand. They just have a non-alcoholic Lion's Mane lager that we just put on the menu. And they sent them our way. It's like, this is all clean ingredients. It helps you, you know, there's the painkiller, there's a relaxer, there's a mood booster, there's an immunity booster, there's all sorts of different things based on the different drinks, but they feel like an old fashioned.
Yeah. And that's what I truly appreciate, that there really is something for everybody there. Whether you're a little kid, you're a grown adult, you're in your retirement years, and like you said, any walk of life, there's something on the menu that you can find. and feel like you belong.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So what could a person expect? So sometimes folks, the barrier is just their own brain that doesn't allow them to walk through the door, right?
Yeah.
So if you could tell people something that would set any anxiety aside that might be keeping them out of your store or your coffee shop, how could you set the scene for them coming in and feeling that belonging and that welcoming?
Yeah. I'd like to think, and now, we're not entitled to this. We have to work towards this every day. I would like to think that we're the place that is for anybody. And when you walk in on a Saturday, sometimes we get busy. Mm-hmm. When you walk in on a Saturday, I'd like to think you can look around and you can see people from all different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And we try to be really intentional with that. We try to stay neutral in a lot of ways because we don't want anybody to feel excluded from being a part of what we're doing. And because of that, our staff has to work really hard at smiling and welcoming and understanding who you are and getting to know you as a person, just like any bartender or barista. Yep. After coming in so many times, we should almost know your drink and mm-hmm. Know a little bit about your family and know what it's about. I'd like to think that that's what would set us apart. Anybody can serve coffee. All of our coffee is, the coffee snobs of the world will frown at me when I say that. It's a cup of coffee. What sets us apart is a community, mindedness and actually trying to care for people, and also understanding that we're not perfect. Yep. Just like everybody else that walks through the door, but we're trying to get better every day.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. All right. The last question I have for you today is simply to let us know, how do people find you other than just coming on downtown and opening that door? Is there any other way that people can follow and keep up with what's going on?
Yeah. So we're on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, website, secondmaincoffee.com. You can find us there. Social media, you just Second Main Coffee House. If you search us, you'll find us. We're on pretty much any platform that you can think of. Usually you'll go into a school system and you'll see all of our stuff too, our sponsorships and all of that. So it's really hard to, I think, miss us if you're from the Niles area or you're looking. So
absolutely. And then is there anything else that you wanted to add that you think it's important for folks to know about Second and Main and what you guys have built here?
I think the biggest thing is to talk about downtown Niles. Mm-hmm. Downtown isn't the same downtown that we've seen a couple years ago. If you haven't been here lately, you haven't been here at all. The outdoor seating space that they just finished, thank you guys for that, by the way. All the other projects that are getting worked on, all the things that are happening behind the scenes over the next 12 months, Niles, especially downtown, it's going to be a different community, and we're going to be able to really compete with any of our communities surrounding. And that says a lot because there's St. Joe and Stevensville, South Bend and Mishawaka and Elkhart. There's a lot of strong communities that have more resources that we do than we do, but we're some underdogs here.
I agree.
We're doing some cool things. So
I agree. Thank you for calling that out.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, I think we'll wrap it. And thank you so much for being the business sponsor spotlight for this month. It really does help the show. And can't wait to see you downtown.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this month's edition of Hello Niles. We hope you enjoyed our journey through the heart of this amazing community. Join us next month as we uncover more stories and special events from Niles. Until then, keep exploring and embracing the spirit of our wonderful town.